Back again, final one of the evening, and I am joined by the stateside folks in Katie K and Celly. Guys, how good does it feel to be in the Europa League? I will start off with Katie K, and then I will ask Celly the same question. Go ahead.
Well, we more than deserve it. I am very excited. It almost seemed like at a certain point we may not get it, we may not capture it, but we did it, and here we are, and it's so exciting, and I'm ready to attract new talent and build our bench.
I agree, mate. Celly, how does it feel, mate? You're going to see us playing in Ukraine next year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it's great because I think the team has played well all season. I think obviously, kind of the earlier tones for the season was we were punching above our weight, and then we kind of just stayed there, just hovered around, and messed around in Champions League spots for a little bit. And the craziest thing about it, you look at the table, we were essentially 3 points out of the Champions League. Which I think. I think there's a couple results you can look at. Obviously the home draw to Arsenal and even the home draw, I think, to Brighton. You think you win either one of those games and you're in the Champions League. But no, it was great. We exercised some demons as far as some wins on the road in places that we don't really ever get them. And it's great to see point record total for the Premier League for us. So it's awesome. It's great.
Right, let's get into this now. Mr. Fabianski for the player ratings 2020, 2021. Katie K, take it away. Give me a rating for Fabianski out of 10.
I got to give him a 9 out of 10. Almost perfect. We just had some incidences where he was injured and, a couple flub ups here and there, but nothing too major. So to me, he's almost perfect. Almost perfect
from Katie K. Celly.
Yeah, I think right there with her. I'll say probably 9 as well. He's been solid for us. Thankfully, he was healthy for the season. We had. I know there was a point in time where we were up there for kind of the record for clean sheets for a little bit towards the beginning of the season. I think we finished with 11. So I think it was like tied for 10th or 11th in the league. So, that's awesome to see. He's always had our back and is a good last line of defense.
What's your rating, though, Celly? You haven't given
it. I said 9, yeah.
Oh, you got 9-0. You got 9-0, mate. Well done, man. Right, Mr. Randolph. He come in. He's been a sub. He's come in for Fab when he's been injured. Katie K, what's your rating for Mr. Darren Randolph?
I'm going to give him an 8. I think he did really well. Better than I expected. And I think that, he really tried to fill big shoes. So, I'm sticking with an 8 for him.
Celly?
Yeah, I'll go with the 7. I can't remember every game that he was in. I know the last game that he played, he was really massive for us. But I have like a lingering feeling that he was in a game that he just didn't play well. I'm just not 100% sure which one that was. But, yeah, no, he came in and he did the job. And, you got to be proud for his efforts.
I agree, mate. I think, Joe, what? I think he gets harshly treated. I think he's all right as a backup. Like, I'm not first teamer, but a backup. I agree with you there. This man, Vladimir Kufal. I think I know what Katie's going to say, but give us a rating, Katie, out of 10.
I'm giving him a 9 out of 10. I just think that he's phenomenal. Brick wall.
Yeah.
I think if he would have scored a goal, I would have given him 10 out of 10. But I love him. I think that he played really well.
What would it be for you to give him a 10 out of 10? Is it just the goals? Nah.
Yeah, I think he could get a goal.
Yeah. You're harsh, Katie. Celly, what do you reckon on Mr. Kufal? First season in the league. Best back in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think there's about maybe 3 players on the team for this season that deserve a 10, and he's one of them. I think he could right up there for Hammer of the Year. He come in just like Souček, when Souček first got here and fit right in. Wasn't afraid of anybody. He definitely wasn't going to let anybody, get the better of him. Easily up there in the conversation for best right back of the league. I think he would definitely get that if he were playing on any other team, but he was great, and I think it was really nice to see his friendship with Souček too. I remember he got tackled pretty harshly earlier in the season, and Souček came running up to him as if it was like his brother or something. So that was pretty nice to see too. But yeah, he's great. Love him. Glad we have him.
Mr. Ryan Fredericks, Wally's best mate, as far as I know. But Katie, what do you make of Mr. Fredericks this season?
Yeah, Wally will probably kill me. But I give him probably a 6 out of 7. I mean, 6 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, he did well in some games, but he also failed in others. So, it's just, I think there's a lot of room for improvement. Yeah,
I agree. Celly?
Yeah, I'll give him a 7. I think he when he's on, as we saw against Villa, he kind of had Grealish in his pocket the whole game. I know that was major for us because I think the Villa away game was our best game of the season, if I'm being honest. So I think but there are also times that he wasn't great. And I think, it might be a little harsh to give him a 7 as well because he kind of played, a few different spots for us. I know he had a goal that was a game winner for us, which was great to see. But yeah, I think it's just, and he doesn't get consistent football. He's not better than Sufal, so he's not going to start over him. But yeah, I think his highs are highs and his lows are lows. But I think he's kind of earned that spot to when he gets called on that we're confident that he can get the job done.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Mr. Ben Johnson. He's played on the wrong side most of the season. He's right foot up on the left-hand side, left wing back, left back, midfield. What's your rating, Katie K, of Mr. Ben Johnson?
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 7 as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say probably 6 out of 10. Same thing, all over the place.
Out of 7.
No, I know you did. I was trying to blag it, but Sully sort of pulled me up. You know what I mean? But we'll
Thanks,
take
Celly.
a 6. Yeah, we'll give him a 6
no
out of 7.
I think he's definitely earned the rights to be an academy graduate. He's had some bright moments for us. I think for him, it's just one of those things where he just needs consistent football, hopefully on the right side, which again is going to be kind of hard for him with Sufal kind of coming in and taking over that spot. So hopefully there's a spot on this team for him. I think right now maybe it probably is a backup or maybe a League Cup starter. But I think he has a bright future. Again, his highs are highs and his lows have been lows, but I think his lows can be easily remedied because a lot of his mistakes were just youthful mistakes. But, the only way he can learn is by playing the game. So I don't want to see him get loaned out. I don't think that's been a conversation, but yeah, hopefully, he stays with us and he improves.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I think he can be a top boy. Really, I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Cresswell. Katie K, take it away.
I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. I think Cresswell came back so much stronger than last season, and he really improved. Moyes really got the best out of him this season, so I'm going to give him an 8.
Sully?
I'll give him a 9 because I think, and I kind of mentioned it before on the show with the American Hammers that, he's great going forward, and he had a lot of faults coming back. And I think he was a big reason as to why we didn't go to a 4 in the back earlier in the season. Because I think the formation that we played the past few games is honestly our best formation. But I think he was kind of a player you looked at and was like, well, is he going to be strong enough out there by himself? And I think it's definitely situational for games. There were games that call for the 5. There were games that call for the 4. And I think there are definitely some teams that he has his strengths for. And obviously, he's been a part of a lot of memorable moments this year. moving forward. And he's definitely established himself in the team. From the time that we got him, so he's definitely a hard worker. I don't think anybody can argue that. But I'll say just through his growth and after, we switched from a 5 back to the 4, I think, he improved a lot and on both ends, forward and back. So I'll give him a 9.
9 out of 10 for Mr. Criswell. But Masuaku, Katie K, what do you make of Masuaku?
I am not the biggest Masuaku fan, so I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Celly?
I'll give him a 7. And I'm kind of also leaning kind of towards an 8 as well, because I think he is a huge reason for the early success for the team. He played that left wing back spot perfectly. I think without him, we don't get a 5 in the back. He helped Cresswell become a better defender early in the season, in the sense of he had his back, so Cresswell didn't necessarily have to do it all his own. And obviously the 5 in the back system when we played Leicester, when we played Wolves early on, I think really flustered those teams, as well as I think it helped us in a lot of performances against some of the higher clubs, some of the teams that finished top 4 in the league, which I know we didn't necessarily beat any of them. Well, yeah, no, we didn't beat any of them, but I think we had some pretty good performances against a couple of them, and I think he was a big part of that.
Craig Dawson, Katie K.
I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10.
Why a 9, Katie? What's made?
I think Craig is he really stepped up for us this year. We had him in a position where we really need him. He strengthened our back line. Without Ogbonna, we really wouldn't have had the strength without him. So, to me, he was that key piece that we needed in the back that we didn't know we were missing until Ogbonna got hurt.
I agree there. I must admit, he has stepped up. Celly?
This might be kind of harsh on me, but I'll give him a 7, and only because of those handful of games where he had those huge blunders, like what Newcastle was one, and I think the games kind of around that. I think if he were to play better in those games, maybe we would have had better results. But at the same time, echoing exactly what Katie said, he came in. Somebody that we kind of wrote off the second that we got him, and he came in and he was huge for us. So I know it's kind of harsh on my part to give him a 7, but I think if he played better in a handful of games, that maybe we would be sitting in the Champions League spot right now. Not that it's completely his fault because it's an 11-man game, but I think some of his errors were really, really big, and a couple of own goals. I think. That was a big reason why we lost to Manchester United, was an own goal on him. And he had a couple of those, a couple of blunders where people would just easily get around him. So, it's not, I'm definitely not blaming us not being a Champions League opponent, but I think that
you're being too harsh, Celly. You're being harsh. But
I was going to say, you're going to need to hold these against Souček as well.
I know. But we'll get on to this man, though. Mr. Angelo Ogbonna. Now, I love this geezer. Two years ago, he was at the door. Well, a lot of West Ham fans said, no, he's not good enough anymore. But he's getting better with age, in my opinion. Katie, what's your rating on Angelo Ogbonna this season?
Augie, to me, is a 10 out of 10 in the back. He's just all around amazing, great communicator. He teaches the youngins where to go, what to do in certain instances. I'm all about him, and he scores goals, so it's a win. Yeah,
10 out of 10 for Katie K. Celly?
So I'll definitely remedy what I said earlier about there only being 3 players to get a 10 out of 10 and say that there is 4. So Ogbonna is definitely one of those, because he's one of the names that you write in automatically in the team sheet. You know what he's got, what he provides you. He's sneaky fast back there. I think he provides the physicality that you need in the center half in the Premier League. And I don't think he's somebody that people can easily get around. And, he's a big voice back there. He came from Juventus, which obviously is not a small club. And I think he brings a lot of leadership, not just to the back line, but just in the locker room in general. So, yeah, he's 10 out of 10 for me.
Issa Diop. Everyone's got mixed views on this man. I think he gets scapegoated quite a lot, really, and it ain't really necessary. What's your rating on him, Katie K, for this season?
Well, I guess I'll give him a 5. And, to be honest, everyone should know that coming from me. He's always out of position. He's always a step behind. I know he's young. I know we need to give him opportunity, but guess what? This is my opinion and what I think. And I'm not a Diop fan. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm not. I just think that there are players out there that can better suit us where he is. So, Celly, take it on over.
No, I'll give him a 7. I think, kind of on the same note as what Katie was saying, he does need experience. He does need time, and it's funny because a few years ago, kind of that same year where we were saying that Agbana was out the door, we were like, Diop can easily step in for him, because Diop was playing some amazing football. And it's funny because Balbuena was his partner, and Balbuena was playing excellent football too. And now, they're both second choice, which is fine because I think they're both, reliable. But yeah, I think Diop, as I said, if the man learned how to jump on offense or jump on defense like he jumps on offense, I think, he'd have a lot of his mistakes or goals taken away. But I think he loves the club. I think you see that quite easily. He's youthful. He's all over the place, and that's both a good and a bad thing. But yeah, I'll give him a 7.
7 out of 10 for Issa Diop. Right, we've got Balbuena. He's left in the summer, or he's leaving, or he's left now. I want both of you to give me a rating for his time at West Ham. So, Katie K, take it away. Rating out of 10, not 7, for Balbuena.
I would give Balbuena a 7 out of 10. Not a 7 out of 7.
Why though? What's the reason, Katie?
Yeah, I think he did pretty well for us. I thought we could have got more out of him, to be honest. I thought that, there was more that he could have done. I don't know.
Yeah. Katie don't know. Celly?
I was going to give him a 6 until you spelled his name wrong, so I'll give him a 7. Just for that. So, but no, I think throughout his whole time, the first year he was here, the general, I think he earned that nickname. Obviously that was his name coming in, but he was great. But I think through with professional sports, if you're not the best, you're not going to start. And I think it says a lot in the sense of if he's third choice, really, both Diop and Dawson, I think that kind of says a lot to his ability. But at the same time, you kind of wonder is the fact that maybe his ego got hurt because he was, replaced, or maybe his second season did a lot for him in the sense of like it was such a dip in performance from his first season here. But at the same time, I think he has some good moments, some memorable moments, a couple cup goals, a couple goals in the Prem. So, he definitely was a solid player, a good servant. But overall, I think he definitely could have done better for sure.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I really do. I'm going to miss him, really, mate. I thought he was all right. He wasn't too bad. I've seen a lot worse for defenders at West Ham, that is for sure. We'll move on to this man who knows how to play a position. Captain, leader, world-class DM. I think I know what this rating's going to be, so I think it's going to be quick and simple. Katie K, take it away.
10, consistent all the time there. Captain, leader, like you said. We are expecting big things in the future for him. If anyone rates him lower than a 10, they're freaking crazy.
Here comes Sully with a 7.
Right. No, easily, obviously 10 out of 10. I think one of the criticisms I think he might have had earlier on was the fact that he was kind of youthful, and we didn't know if it was going to if he would translate into being a good captain. And I think that question was answered really quickly with him. It's unfortunate he got hurt when he did. I think easily one of the best center defensemen in the league. Obviously with his running mate, right up there. And England International, I think he's going to help that team do a lot of things, not only in just the European or in the Euros, but in the World Cup as well. I think it was a class move, as my buddy Gary on Twitter said, for Moyes to let him get that standing ovation at the end of the game yesterday, especially after he got that goal. Hopefully we can keep him. I think his first priority this year into making sure, or moving into next year, is getting him re-signed and staying with the club. 10 out of 10. No way he gets rated any lower than that.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I think he's been top. Top class. I really do. I think he's been absolute top class. Katie, can you hear me?
I hear you now. We're good.
Right, we're all good to go. I think he's been top class, Rice. I must admit, I will agree with you. I think the injury come right at the wrong time.
Yeah.
I think if he's fit, I do think Champions League we get. I think one of them games that we lost or drew, we win. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I do believe so, mate. But another man who's been top class is Mr. Souček, and I've got to swap this around because that's the way it should be. Katie K, take it away.
Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to deduct points for him making our own goals, but I won't, Celly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give Souček a 9 out of 10. I think that he really did well. Of course, we had this small, unfortunate events that occurred, but, overall top player. We couldn't have done any better without the Czechs. I think that they contributed so much, and he just has so much talent that, we're lucky to have him.
I agree. I really do. Celly?
Yeah, 10 out of 10. I think kind of earlier, throughout the whole season, obviously he was a huge reason that we were playing as well as we did, especially when Rice went out. He kind of had to carry the back half of the midfield. And I think he helped Mark Noble play a little better in the sense of he was able to let Mark Noble kind of be, play further back, be somewhat of like a fifth defenseman while he kind of floated around and did his thing, which I think you kind of also saw with the dip in his goals. He got close all the times, but I think he kind of went a while without scoring, which is fine, and it's not particularly his job to score, even though I think he was tied for the lead in goals for this club this season. So, which I think that says a lot about him. And it'll be great to see him on the world stage, in the Euros. I think there's a lot that can be said for that too. Because he brings international experience, obviously, as well as Sufal. So hopefully he can play a little bit more of a recruiter for us and bring in the other youngster from Slavia Prague over to us in the summer.
I agree, mate. I agree. I think he's been absolutely first class. The only thing I will say before I move on, me personally, when Rice wasn't there, he wasn't the same player, in my opinion. When Rice was injured, he looked a bit rabbit in headlights, so to speak. Didn't know whether to go forward or to defend. And it's a sentiment to the man. When Rice is there, he turns into a world-class player. And I agree with you both. Right, Robert Snodgrass. He signed, he played, he left on loan, he come back, he played, and now he's left on a permanent. Just give me a quick rating, guys, on Robert Snodgrass' time at West Ham. Katie K.
I'll give him a 7.
7 out of 10 for Katie K. Sully?
I don't know, probably a 6 for me. I think, he brings a lot of experience. He was very, very professional technically. But every time he was on the pitch, I just felt like he was a liability. Just really slow. Yeah. I think we were playing him too far forward. I think he would have been well off to kind of play a center defenseman, just from his physicality and the distribution that he has. But again, great servant. You could tell he played for the badge. He loved the club. But yeah, so I'll give him 6.
6 out of 10 for Celly on Mr. Snodgrass. Mr. West Ham, Mark Noble. He's played as a 10. He covered for Rice when he was injured. He's been absolutely top draw for season upon season. But Katie K, what is your rating for this season?
I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. I think Noble has really done well. His age is catching up to him. But he is Mr. West Ham. He brings the consistency and the confidence that the team needs at certain times.
I agree. Sally?
For this season, it'd probably be harsh, but I'll give him a 6. Just because I feel like early on in the season, and granted, I don't know if it's necessarily his fault because he was played out of position, but there was a point in time where earlier in the season we didn't score when he was on the field. We didn't score at all. And, I think maybe the fact that he played so high, I don't know. It's hard, obviously, to say anything bad about him, but there was just obvious, glaring lack, or there was a big lack there from him earlier in the season when he played, and I think it kind of affected the team.
Yeah, I slightly do agree with you there. I must admit, when he did come in, like number 10, I've never seen Mark Noble play number 10 in his life. But then I don't really blame him for that. I blame Moyes for that. If anything, why is Moyes putting him in that situation? But I do agree with you totally. Right, this man, Manuel Lanzini. He scored a great goal, goal of the season for me against Spurs. That will go in history for a long, long time. Played well against Burnley. Come on and played against Sheffield United. But this man's been a bit missing this year. What's your rating, Katie K, of Mr. Manuel Lanzini?
Yeah, I'm giving him 8 out of 10. I think that he had a couple games, like you said, where he was just missing. But then, the games that he had that he did well, he did really well. So, I think he was just kind of sort of hitting his stride towards the end here.
I agree. Sully, what do you make of Lanzini?
Yeah, I'll give him a 7. I think, obviously there were some games where you ask yourself afterwards, was he even playing? And then there were obviously games where you're like, he's finally getting his stride back from his injury, because I think towards the later half of the season, he was playing, like the Lanzini during the Payet years. So that was really fun to see. It was good to see for him. So I don't know what his impact on the club will be moving forward, but he's definitely provided, some memorable moments this season. And, I really wish, and anytime I'll see that highlight, I'll really wish that there were fans at the stadium there, because I can only imagine with that goal being in the away end, just how crazy and how loud that area would have been, in the field with that going in the top corner there. And hopefully it gets goal of the year. Honestly, I know we're all biased towards it, but
do you know what though, Sully? I will say this though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, and I've always said this, I wonder how many fans would have been there who would have left at half-time being 3-0 down. Like, that's a massive, like, us being 3-0 down away to Spurs. In one way, I'm glad fans wasn't there, because I think a lot of fans would have missed that moment. Like, at least everyone was there and see that moment. Like, I always will remember the day when Lanzini struck it.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. And I think it would. I definitely have harsh opinions on anyone who leaves the game early, no matter what the result is. But I think if anybody did leave early, you know exactly what's going to happen. Is they're going to say that they're there.
I don't know though, Sully. I don't know. I've seen some rubbish at West Ham, and there's been times where I've had to go, you know what? Do I really fancy a 3-hour journey back home? Like, I might as well get in the car now. But that's for another day. But this man scored 2 goals the other day. You either love him or hate him. He's like Marmite, this man. Katie K, what's your rating on Pablo Fornals?
Yeah. 7 out of 10. He's more on my not like so much list.
Yeah. What's your reason, Katie? Is it? I just want to know if it's sort of similar to mine. What's your reason why you're not a fan?
I just think he misses a lot of opportunities in the middle, and he also doesn't distribute the ball where he should. So I get frustrated with that. I think that, if he took advantage of some of the space, it would be a lot better. But I also think that, he misses golden opportunities and doesn't play the ball where it should be played.
Yeah, I agree. You couldn't put that any better, really, if I'm honest. Celly, what do you make of Pablo Fornells?
Yeah, I'll give him an 8. I think he does have some questionable decision making, I will say, but the dude is all over the place. He plays with a full motor. I think he's one of the most excited people whenever we score. I think any highlight you see him on the pitch or we score, he's always yelling the loudest, and it's obviously really easy to hear him now with there being no fans there. Especially the game where Dawson scored the winner. I forgot what he called him, but that was a pretty memorable moment. But I think early in the season it was kind of harsh to kind of knock him because the only thing he wasn't doing was scoring, but he was assisting, and he kind of did that throughout the year. But yeah, I think his decision making was kind of poor, and he missed a lot of sitters in the early parts of the season. I think you look at the Manchester United home game. It was one and a handful of others. So, but I'll give him an 8 because I think he played out of his mind. He even played a center defense role for a handful of games too, and did pretty well.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think he's hit and miss with me. He really is. Jared Bowen, Katie K.
I'm going to give Bowen a 7 out of 10. And the reason I'm giving him a 7, I really kind of in between 7 and 8, because I really think that he should have done more for us this year. I thought that he came out pretty well at the end of May. And then it just kind of seemed like he disappeared for a while. And then he was just starting to get things back on track towards the end of the season. So I'm hoping that continues next season. But I love Bowen as a player. I think that he's phenomenal, and I'm a big fan. I just think that we need to start working more out of him.
Yeah. Do you know what? I agree with you yet again. By what you just said there, he's of all the players this season that's disappointed me, he's one of them. I know there's a talent there, and it comes it's like a light switch. It comes off and on.
Yeah.
Right, from time to time. So I do agree with you there, 100%. Celly, what do you make of Jared Bowen, mate?
I'll give him a 7 because I think he's in his head a lot. I think his skill is there. It's obvious. When he came in and played striker for us, after the Lingard acquisition, I think he had some of his best games with the team. But I think, kind of with Fornells, his decision making distribution wise is very questionable sometimes. But yeah, I mean, he came in and, I think you always know what you're going to get out of him. His burst of energy. I think I don't think you really lose much when you put him in for Antonio. But I think, like I said, he just kind of plays. He's in his head too much, and he just needs to play the game and just let it come to him instead of him trying to be the hero every time he's out there.
I agree, mate. I really do. Jesse Lingard, Katie K, take it away.
I'm going to give him 10 out of 10. And the reason being is, and I know a lot of people may disagree with this, but the reason being is that, he came out with fire. He did well and scored goals right off the bat for us. But the reason he struggled towards the end of the season is because people knew that they could put pressure on him. And I think that, he was really getting muscled, strong-armed, and didn't have the same opportunities he had. And I think that our injuries contributed to individuals marking him versus other players. So, I think that he had a phenomenal season with us, and I'm excited to see what he brings next season if we can capture him.
Right. Yes or no answer, Katie K. Do we sign him in the summer?
I want us to. It's going to depend on how much he comes.
Yeah. I didn't ask that, though, Katie K. I asked you yes or no. Do you think we will sign him? She doesn't want to give me an answer.
I know. I'm afraid I'll jinx it,
Yeah,
my heart says yes. I mean, my head says no, but my heart says yes. Like,
right.
what do you do?
Always go with your hearts. That's a yes from
Yes.
Katie K.
Yes.
Well, we know now that if we don't sign him, that it's because Katie jinxed
that's
us.
it. Straight,
no.
straight in Katie K's DMs. That's it. No worries. Celly, what's your rating on Lingard, mate?
Yeah, I think you have to give the man a 10. I think even towards the latter part of the season when he wasn't scoring, he was still actively, distributing, getting other players involved. I think he is a huge reason why we finished where we finished. Because he filled a huge hole in terms of. I think if we were to consistently start a front four of Fornals, Ben Rama, Bowen, and Antonio, that somebody in that midfield was just going to run out of gas. So I think him being able to come in straight away, doing the job, and it gave Bowen some rest. It allowed us to kind of mess around with Lanzini and Fornals. So you always had some fresh legs for. You always have some fresh legs for the midfield. But yeah, I mean, without him, we don't finish in sixth, in my opinion. And I do agree with Katie. I think some injuries, played a big role in teams being able to take him out of the game. But in the same aspect, I think he got unlucky with some chances, in a lot of games. But I think his talent and his skill, are obviously evident. When I said when we got him, that he's done that. He's been there, done that at every level of both domestic and European football. So I think that you can't take that away from the guy, and I do think that we'll re-sign him. And it was funny. I saw some fan theory on Twitter saying that he was purposefully playing poorly towards the end to bring his price down so he could stay here.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would love him, man. And I think him and I think, keeping him will be a big bonus in keeping Rice, because I think those two are homies. They're friends. I think from the minute they started playing together, they bonded. Playing in for the England squad, I think helps. But yeah, I think, him coming here rejuvenated his career. He's back in the England squad. He's in the limelight again, and I think that's exactly where he wants to be.
That's it, mate. I agree with you. It's good to have him here, and I hope he signs and all. Mr. Saeed Benrahma. I ain't even got to talk about what I think on this man, but Katie K, give us a rating.
I would give Benrahma an 8, only because I feel like he wasn't really given too much opportunity till the end of the season. I think that he was just starting to catch fire. So I think that if, we had continued on, I think he could have done big things. So I'm expecting next year for him to fall into my 9 to 10 category with finishing. He just needs a little bit more confidence. He's getting there. I see it. So I expect big things from him, like I did Bowen this season.
Sally?
Yeah, I'll give him like an 8.5 out of 10. Because I think, I don't know. I even feel, I know there's
no half, Sally. There's no half. I'll just let you know that. It's round numbers only.
Round whole numbers, huh?
That's right,
all right, I'll give him a 9. We'll round up. Because I do think that he wasn't giving enough chances, but I feel like every time he was on the pitch, he made an impact. The only reason it's not a 10 is because, and it has nothing to do with him not scoring, because I don't care. But I think he kind of made himself a liability in the fact that he wasn't the strongest defensively. But at the same time, I think you can see that he loves the club. I think he's excited for the opportunity to play in the Premier League. and I think that he is definitely going to be somebody who's an automatic name in the starting 11. We're going to need him playing in Europe. But I think, this is a big offseason for him too, to improve on a lot of aspects of his game. And the goals will come for him. I think, with the preseason, with the club, with the full offseason, he'll get more comfortable with the system. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with the club, but I'll give him a 9.
That's fair enough, mate. This man, Sebastian Heller, left in January. Both of you guys, I want you to give me a full rating of his time at West Ham. KTK.
Ooh, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. It's just so tough. Like, he has the talent. He wasn't the right player for us. He's a world-class player, and we just couldn't, execute with him. And I'm shocked that we couldn't do it. I thought that, if we played to space a little bit more, he could have ran on to the ball, but it just wasn't the right fit for us.
Celly?
I'll give him an 8 out of 10. I'm a big Heller guy, as is no secret. I think on one hand, he kind of, again, he was his own worst enemy. But on the other hand, I think that we didn't play to his strengths, which is a big reason why he left. I mean, you get your club record signing, and granted it wasn't a Moyes signing, but at the same time, I don't think it was too hard to see what would have been done well with him. I think one of his best games was a draw with was it a draw? I think it was away to Arsenal right before the lockdown. I think the last game before lockdown happened. And we were playing him and Antonio. And, he had a strike partner and he was playing really well. I think the only thing that he didn't do was be pacey. Other than that, he did everything well. Hold-up play was great. He was able to score some fantastic goals. I think he tried to do the spectacular too much. Will that be, something that he in his mind, thought he needed to do or what? But I think you love the fact that he believed in his skill that much to want to do stuff like that. But, he was there to beat Sheffield, Crystal Palace. So I think he was huge for us as well. You can't really say that we get 6 without his contributions either. But I think a lot of criticism on him was pretty harsh.
Yeah. I think he was hit and miss. That's the best way of describing him. But this man, he seems to hit and miss all the time. What's your ratings on Yamalenko? For me, I think he's run his race. KTK.
Yeah, I'd give Yarmo a 7 out of 10. I just, maybe even a 6. Like, it's just, he's too slow for us. He's not doing anything in the midfield, so we got to let him go.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I really do. And I think your ratings, KTK, especially for Yamalenko, right? That's the highest rating I think I'm ever going to see on this Flyer Ratings series this week.
He still put forth the effort. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I have a hard time. Other than Diop, I gave Diop a 5. Okay, I should probably give Diop like a 3. But
yeah, I know. But Diop don't do 5,000 step overs and
yeah.
Celly, what's your rating on Yam?
Yeah, I would, for this season, probably a 5. Again, I think, he's run his race with the team. He's had some spectacular moments for the club, but again, he's too slow. I think we did play him out of position, especially this year. But I don't think anybody with that pace had any right necessarily playing in the midfield in the Premier League. Not that he was horrendous, but I just think, again, with Snodgrass, as I said, he was just kind of a liability defensively. Loved his energy, though, that he gave forth. Again, he had some spectacular moments. Obviously, Chelsea, Everton away. In the first year that we got him, the Pellegrini season. but there were a lot of games where he just wasn't there, both either when he was on the pitch or obviously he was, he didn't help himself by all the midfielders we have, and he wasn't, any high selection for us as far as somebody to come off the bench. So a 5.
5. This man, Mikhail Antonio, Katie K, take it away.
I love to hate him. Terrible tactically, but you know what? I got to give the man a 9. He puts his heart out on the line, just bulldozes through things. I know he hit the post and everything. Many times he hits over the goal, but I got to give him a 9 out of 10. To me, he's the one that kept us up and running last year as well as this year. And he had our most goals for the season, I believe, right? He had 14. So
I think it might be in all competitions. I think he got 10 in the Prem though.
Yeah, 10 in the league. Yeah.
Okay. So either way, not my favorite player, but he gives his heart and soul, and I respect that.
Sully.
I'll give him an 8. I think on one hand, it might not be fair to him, but I think his injuries are his own worst enemy, and it's not as if this is a new thing with him. But dude is not a striker. And I think it's so evident, that like whenever he shoots anything outside of the 8-yard box or the 6-yard box, you don't know if it's going to go in the back of the net or if it's going to go over the net, But I mean, dude obviously has a ton of talent. He plays for the badge. I joke and say that he's played every position for us except for goalie. So obviously as a full career wise, I think you'd have to give the man like a 9 or a 10. But this year, it's just 8 for me, just because, again, and I don't know if it's necessarily his fault. I think it's a bit of Moyes too, for not actively going out and getting a backup in the January window when we were all begging for one, and you gave away the only striker that we had that was a club record signing and didn't replace him. And it's not like you didn't have the whole, window to do it.
Someone's bitter.
No, well, I mean, I am bitter in the fact that, Heller left because I was a big fan. But at the same time, I mean, it's Heller was gone like day one of the window, and we didn't go out and get anybody to bring him in.
Well, let's not ask Costa what he thinks of Sebastian Heller.
I don't think we have enough time, my friend.
Oh no, yeah.
But I think another player I hope that stays to the club, and I'm sure we'll loan him out. But unless we get a backup striker, I'd love to see what Meepo can do. I mean, all he does in the league that he plays in with the PL2, he has some amazing goals down there. I know there's obviously a big drop off from Premier League to PL2, but I think, that there were some times that we probably could have put him into what he was made of. I don't want to sit here and judge him off of one cup game where he got like 20 minutes and played poorly. Like, not many players have had their premiere against Manchester United and played lights out, but we'll see. I mean, hopefully he becomes another academy graduate. He was on the first team sheet a lot, so obviously he's doing something right.
I agree with you, mate. I think he's done all right this season, even though he does miss a hell of a lot of chances, I've got to admit. I've got a few questions myself now. This is one of my own questions that I want to ask. His best performance of the season. I'm going to start off with Katie K. It can either be a player's performance or it could be a team performance. What's yours?
I'm going with Sufal. When he played Grealish, he played him tight and did everything he was supposed to do. I thought that was the best performance, in my opinion. I just loved every minute of that.
Sully?
Yeah, it'll be a team performance for me. Like I said earlier, Villa away. I think that was the best game that we played all year. Start to finish, we were the better team. Obviously, Sufal and Fredericks, shut down Grealish. Like, he was a complete non-factor in that game. Jesse Lingard, hell of a debut for the club. So I think that was just a perfect storm, especially with us not necessarily knowing what we were going to get out of Lingard, kind of playing the funky formation with Ryan Fredericks as a right wing back. But I think, Moyes definitely gets a 10 out of 10 for that one because that was a beautiful game.
Another question from me. GSB, summer, winter transfer windows. Right. We signed Kufal, Souček, loaned Dawson, loaned Ben Rama in the summer window. In the winter window, we loaned Lingard. We made Dawson's loan permanent. We made Ben Rama's loan permanent. And we let go Heller. I want you to both individually rate both windows, summer and winter. And I will start off with Katie K.
Out of 10?
Out of 10?
Out of 7.
Out of 7. I would say the summer window was probably a 7 out of 10, and I would give the fall winter an 8 out of 10.
Celly?
Summer window with the players that we brought in, obviously 10. And I think the winter probably an 8 for me, because, we obviously brought in Lingard, which was huge. But two of the players that we made permanent, we got in the summer. And I may or may not be sour about letting Heller go.
Not much. It doesn't show, but we love you anyway, so that's fine, mate. And finally, the final question from me to both of you. Moyes and his backroom staff. Katie K, give us a rating out of 10 for what they've done this season.
I would say 8 out of 10. I think they did an amazing job growing each of the individual players, bringing them together and providing unity. I would just say from the game management perspective, there are definitely areas where we need to improve and make tweaks as the game is going on to give ourselves better opportunities. So, for example, when individuals are crowding up at the top of the box, we need to spread the field and distribute properly. At the same time, when we're up 3-1 or 3-0, 3-0, we don't need to be rushing to get another goal. So I think that comes down to all of the game management, the style, and those are the things that I'm looking for them to improve upon. And I hope that they do that in the following season, especially with substitutions. That's always been a major talking point for all of us. Getting those substitutions in there when somebody looks dogged, when they're not having a game, pulling them and putting that fresh feet in there. I think 8 encompasses all that.
I agree. Sally?
I think for me it's 2 separate ratings. Moyes gets an 8 for me because I think some of his decisions for team sheets in a handful of games, like Liverpool home, Manchester United home, the cup game away to Man U, and a handful of others, left me with my head scratched because, I feel like a lot of those games are games that we should have been going for it. Like we let Liverpool off the hook right before they had 2 of the worst performances that they've had in a long time, to both Brighton and Burnley. And we didn't go after them for no reason. There's nothing legitimate that would say, oh, well, this is why we didn't do it. No, we were playing good football at the time, and we got nervous. Well, not we. He got nervous by the name and the badge instead of just saying, whatever you're in our house, we're going to go. Especially the Manchester United game because we had fans back for the first time in over a year, and we put out a crap performance. Now, granted, there were some VAR issues with that one, with the ball clearly going out of bounds or whatever, and we did miss a shit ton of chances. I'll say 8 for him because he did make a lot of great decisions. I think almost anytime he put a team out with, respect to the games that I was just mentioning, there are some times where okay, I'll respect this because, he's doing well. And it was funny because towards the beginning when he was out with COVID, or because of COVID protocol with the Leicester and the Wolves game, we're 5 in the back. This isn't his decision. And we only said that because it works so damn well, But obviously, I think he had a lot to do with that. But for the backroom staff, it's a 10 out of 10 because I think you saw improvement out of almost everybody, and I think that backroom staff is a bunch of leaders. You have some former Hammers in there that know what the fans want to see as far as effort. And I think, I know we gave some players some low ratings, but I don't think that there was necessarily any player that you would say didn't give 100% almost any time when they were out there. Whether they had a poor performance or not, I think that we've seen a lot worse from players in years past who just didn't care. So yeah, Moyes gets 8 for me. The backroom staff gets a 10 for sure.
And that's it. That is it. Yeah, I agree. I do. I think he's been decent for what he's had to deal with. The next season, I will know more. Like, with regard to the owners and the manager, if next season we slip down and we're fighting relegation again, then it was a one-season wonder. But I hope not. I'm pretty sure. I don't believe so. But he needs backing, and he needs a lot of money spent on lots of areas on the pitch. But right, that is your player ratings this season, guys. 2020, 2021. That's so hard to say when you're like tongue-tied a little bit. But yeah, it's been really good. And quickly, I just want to thank you guys, both of you. I've met you through doing this. You're good people. And one day I will come over to America and I will meet you in the flesh. And I appreciate you coming on, doing the stuff on the stateside for me and talking to American Hammers and all that. It goes a long way to me. And it's good to see that the club I love dearly, which I'm literally 5, 6, 7 miles away from, you love it thousands of miles away as much as I do. So yeah, I do appreciate you coming on, and it'll be good to see you again. But everyone who's been watching and commenting, if you've commented in the comment section, I can't get your comments up, I'm afraid. Like, I'm going through, you know what I mean, us men, 2 things at once. Hard work. But yeah, I want to thank Celly. I want to thank Katie K for their time. I really enjoyed it, and I will be back soon for another lot tomorrow, and then Thursday I'm wrapping it up and finishing up. And yeah, any final thoughts, Katie K and Celly, before we go?
Bring on next season. I'm ready. Why wait?
Right.
Well, you can go now, but I'm having a rest for this year. I'm good to go. But right, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Goes a long way to the channel. Helps the channel out greatly. And I'll be back again soon. Take care.